everyone, it's Ann at Craft Fantastic, and this is our Cupid's Loved art card kit. And I just wanted to quickly show you the nice little cards that you're going to be making. This is cute. It has sort of the flaming pink and the image here. These are our signature dots, and it's an option that you can put on to let people know if it's handmade or not. So here's another one, 2 Cupids with the ribbon. Then we have this one. This one's kind of my favorite with this lacy, turquoisey blue lace, and she's sort of peeking out from behind the lace, and again, handmade. This is another nice one. We've got our Cupid sort of looking back over her shoulder, and another handmade mark here. And then last but not least, this is our 5th card with the 3 Cupids and then the lacy bow. All right, so now I'm going to show you what you're going to need other than the kit. The kit comes packed full of stuff, but you will need the fantastic lace and glue. You're going to need a pair of scissors. You'll need a bone folder. This is my dirty bone folder here. You'll need cotton swabs. You'll need some scrap paper. You may need a ruler. I don't use a ruler, but some of you might find that to be handy. And you're gonna need an X-Acto knife to kind of cut out the top of the heart glass. And then last but not least, you're gonna need a good paper adhesive. And this is from our friends at Scrapbook Adhesives. We do sell them on our website. I like this size. I don't like the big ones. I think they're hard and cumbersome to work with, and I think it affects your end result. But this is a very good adhesive, and it comes out in little tiny pieces, and it just is easy going around the curbs, and it's a great product. Okay, so let's get started. So you've got your sheets of images here, and you've also got your little cheat sheet. This tells you, I've numbered these cards 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this tells you what card you're working on. I'm gonna set this aside. And then you'll notice that there are numbers on everything, either on top of it or next to it. So the first thing that I want you to do is I want you to just rough cut. Now this says choose one. So consider this, don't cut these apart, just keep these together. So I'm just gonna rough cut all these pieces out. Okay, I've rough cut these all out with the numbers. I haven't cut them out yet. And now I'm gonna divide everything up into little piles of by numbers. So this is 5, this one's 5, this one's 5. Okay, now I've got everything piled by, this is 4, 2, 5, 3, and 1. And then I've got, these are separate, and these are gonna be the little gems that talk about the piece being handmade. And this is a signature gem, you don't need to do it, but it's a little add-on that we give you with these kits. So I'm gonna set these aside. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start cutting out the large pieces. Do not cut out the ones that you're gonna make the glass out of, where it says choose one, because we're going to work on those later. So I'm gonna get started, and I just wanna carefully cut, and you wanna cut away all the white, and I try to cut as evenly as possible, all the way around. And I love cutting. I could sit all day and cut. It's, I don't know, it's just really, it's like meditation for me. So I just cut, trim, trim, trim all the way around. And again, I'm just carefully cutting this out. I like to use a large pair of scissors rather than a small pair. I'm not a fan of the little delicate scissors for cutting things out. I think you can actually do a better job using a large pair of scissors. Okay, so there's one piece that I've cut out, and I'm gonna throw this stuff away. So I'm just gonna cut out all the pieces, but I'm not gonna cut out the pieces that I'm using to make my glass pieces with. Okay, so we're gonna start with card number 1. I've cut these pieces out, and I am going to figure out which cabochon or which little glass piece I'm gonna make. And I'm gonna grab the corresponding piece of glass, and look at how cute the forget-me-nots are. I think we're gonna use that one. And so the first thing I'm gonna do is make my piece of glass. So we're gonna use the Fantastic Lace and Glue, and this stuff is just amazing. But I'm gonna squirt a blob just in the center, and I am going to clean that up around the edge. Just gonna take my Q-tip and clean up all the way around. Just like that. Make sure you work on a hard surface, and then you're just gonna trim the piece of glass all the way around. And I would wait until it's dry when you trim. I'm just doing this in the demo so you can sort of see how that all works. So there's your darling little forget-me-nots all ready to go. And now what we're gonna do is we are going to, the magenta shimmer paper, this goes on that. And then our little cherub angel-y people are gonna go on here. And, you know, when you cut as close as possible, because you might end up with some extra cardstock in the end. And again, I'm using this fabulous paper adhesive, which has little, I like this so much better than some of the other products out there. And look at how I went over the edge, and I'll show you what you're gonna do with that. But it really curves, and it makes it a lot easy because it's little pieces rather than one long big piece. I just fold those under if I get a few that are too close. And I'm going to sort of be aware top and bottom, because I wanna be able to cut something off of here. And I also am gonna rough cut it off, because you're gonna get a better result cutting if you do a rough cut. But hold on to this, because you may be able to use that for something. All right, and I'm just going to trim all the way around. And I'm leaving about 1/8 of an inch to, well, right about 1/8. Maybe just a little bit over 1/8. No, it's actually pretty close to 1/8 of an inch. That's what I'm shooting for. And it's not easy to cut these curves. And you're just gonna go around and trim all the way around. Just like this. Trim, 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 trim. Oops. Come on. All right. And the thing about our cards that I really like, these are not die cuts, and I prefer that. I prefer a hand cut out card, because you can tell it's made by hand. If it's die cut, it looks like it's machine made. Okay, and now I'm gonna do the same thing here for our little cherubs, and then I'm gonna trim 1/8 of an inch around. Okay, so now I'm gonna fold my card blank, and you just wanna take it and fold it along the line. They never match up perfectly. So I'm gonna hold it in place and kind of get this, I'm gonna try to get this to match up as perfectly as possible. Really holding on to it and using my bone folder to help me. So I'm just going along, and I'm really burnishing hard. So I'm gonna fold that in half, just like that. And now you have your palette. The nice thing about our cards is that I have them made slightly smaller than the regular A7. So you can load it up and still get it into the envelope. So now we're going to lay this out. And remember, it looks like this, and you've got your little cheat sheet. And you want the ones going here, because that's where we're gonna put a super sticky dot So we've got that, and we're gonna work with our ribbon right now. Now, we have to do the ribbon, we're gonna tie the ribbon around before we glue this down. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set this card aside, that's one thing. The first thing I'm gonna do is I am gonna put a super sticky dot right here. These are great for card makers. Have you ever gotten a card that's fallen apart that someone made? It's sort of sad. And I'm really an advocate for making these cards sturdy so they'll get through the mail. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my lace, and I love this wild colored lace. I think it's really fun. And this is pretty simple. I'm just gonna put it on the table, and I'm not doing a full knot, I'm just doing a half knot. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull it as tight as I can, and then I'm gonna scoot it over so the knot part is on top of that sticky dot, because that's gonna hold everything in place, just like that. And then you can kind of arrange it, you know, as you go along. Don't trim it. Don't trim this until you put the card together. Also, if you're making more cards, you always want extra ribbon so you've got something to trim off. All right, so now we have this piece right here, and let's see here. And I always sort of lay things out to sort of see where they're at. The other nice thing about our cards is that there's nothing exact about them. But what I've got is, I'm paying attention to their instruments. This is kind of a long one so you can sort of see it. And also, look, they have pink outfits. So I'm gonna go with the notion that we're gonna split the pink guys up. But it doesn't really matter what order you put these on. But the first thing we're gonna do is we're going to attach this large oval here. And I love this. This is vintage, a copy of vintage end papers from old books. And we're gonna put our paper, well, actually the first thing we're gonna do is use our dots. And anytime you have ribbon, you use a dot. So I'm gonna put this right here, right at the edge. I really want this to be really close to the edge. And I'm doing it somewhere where the lace sort of it just is more sturdy if you do it like this. So it's kind of gluing the ribbon down to the back, and it's also going to be ready to glue to the card. This just gives better adhesion. If you try to use the paper adhesive for the sticky dots, you're going to have trouble. So the hardest part of the whole entire project is peeling the little thing off the dot here. Okay. And sometimes you have to burnish again. Really burnish with your nail. That makes it easier because then it sort of catches. Well, but because there's fabric here, it's a little tricky. All right, here we go. Come on. I know I've got you. There we go. Okay. I have these all over my studio. Okay, and now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put the paper adhesive on the rest of it. And you can put a little bit here and there. I like to get as close to the edge as I can. But there we go. And remember, you want the tie side. It's not in the center. You want the little tie out on the side there. So now and I like to give it a little more space on the bottom. That's called weighting, W-E-I-G-H-T-I-N-G, weighting the bottom. It's an optical illusion, and it will still look like it's even, but if you make it even, then sometimes it looks like it's lower. So I'm just weighting the bottom ever so slightly. I'm giving a nice, probably about a ½ inch or so here. If you want to, you can measure. I never measure. I always use my eyes because, again, this is handmade. This is not precision. It's not perfect. Okay, so now we've got our little round piece, and the next thing we're going to do is we are going to attach our little cherubs. And again, You know, you can do this however you choose. Let's see, we're gonna go, I think, and you can use your little cheat sheet. So what I'm doing is I'm gonna do something like this. I think visually that's interesting. You've got a little space here. So what I do is I make note of the distance here and here. I sort of keep track of that on the first one. So this first one is going to tell me how to glue down the rest of these. So don't even think about these guys right now. Just think about this top one. So I'm gonna take that away, and I'm gonna get our dimensional puffy dots, and I'm gonna need 2 of those. And this is interesting how we do these. We're going to do 2 at the top, and then we're going to do 2 of the sticky dots on the bottom. Because what that does, you can see, and I'm paying attention. Okay, I like that right there. I want it a little bit higher than this because that creates interest, right? You don't want it the same. You don't want to match it up. Good design, it's not matchy-matchy. But what I am going for is this distance here and here. I want that about the same. So I'm gonna peel everything off. Remember the hard part, getting these darn orange liners off of this. And it is not easy. And I'm just paying attention, top, bottom, and sides, and I've got a slight angle here, and I'm just gonna pop that down. So now the top part is elevated, this is flat. So now I'm gonna bring these back again, and I'm checking both because they're both gonna end up on here, and I'm liking that. Look at how cute that is. All right, so now I'm paying attention to this one, right? And I know, okay, the corner goes to the sleeve, and it goes into this pink a little bit. And again, it's not gonna be perfect because remember, this is handmade. And we go with the 2 on the top and the 2 on the bottom. And I just, again, I'll tell you, these super sticky dots are amazing. They are a little hassle to peel off, but they really hold, and they hold better than anything. So if you're gluing down fabric, like i.e. ribbon, or if you're gluing down, if you want something to really hold, use the super sticky dots. Okay, and remember I went up to his sleeve. So right about there, and then I do my bottom here. And then last but not least is number 3. And I wanna come down just a slight amount because I want this, again, remember I don't wanna match that here, but I'm paying attention to the distance here, and I want this to roughly be the same. So then the card is sort of framed nicely. Again, it's just space and just keeping track of stuff. And I'm gonna put these on the top. And I am going to put my 2 dots, and you might even be able to get away with 1 dot on the bottom. I like to use a little extra adhesive just because I really want this card. You know, I want to mail this card. You know, I want it to be, you know, in 2 years, if somebody puts it away as a memento or puts it into a scrapbook, I mean, I want it to be together. I don't want it falling apart. Okay, and then here is, look at how cute that is. And it's nice because it comes down below here and below here. And now, last but not least, I'm gonna put my darling little forget-me-nots here. And I'm going to use another super sticky dot. Because again, that's what really holds this. And I'm kind of looking to see, okay, the perfect spot for this. Okay, that is really cute. And now I'm gonna trim. And I want to trim enough so that you don't want to trim so short that it looks like you didn't have enough ribbon, but you don't want it so long that it kind of makes a mess. So there we go, that's your first card. We're gonna add the little signature at the end, or you can go ahead and do that if you decide you want to do it. You just make the piece of glass. You cut a quarter of a little piece of a sticky dot and use it. And that is card number 1. Okay, so the next card that we're gonna make is card number 2. And that's this one, and this is sort of, it kind of reminds me of sort of a French burning heart. You know, it's got the flames coming above. And so we're gonna use some of the silky ribbon, and then there's our signature. And I think on this one, I think I wanna use the roses because, and this could work as a birthday card, or it doesn't have to be a Valentine necessarily. But I'm gonna go ahead and use the roses on this one. And we're working on our scrap paper again on a hard surface. So go ahead and make your piece of glass. Okay, I've made my piece of glass. I've trimmed around the edge. And I just wanted to show you, when you have this right here, you don't really normally need an X-Acto knife except when you've got like a little indent. So I'm just gonna come in here and I am just gonna carefully cut out that little top. And I know there's a name for it, but I can't think of the name right now, so I'm just cutting that out, just like that. There we go. Okay, so what I've done is I made my piece of glass and I made my card, I glued this down on the cardstock with the paper adhesive, and I made my little round sort of medallion thing. And I've got my folded card. Let's start over again. Reach across. Okay. All right, so now I've made my little piece of glass, and I've got my tray here that this is gonna get glued into. This is with paper adhesive I glued down on the cardstock, and same thing with the turquoise. So we've got that. And I'm going to use a sticky dot right here, and I burnish down really hard with my thumbnail, and I'm going to adhere the piece of glass into the tray. There we go, look at how great that looks. Oh, I love that with the roses. Okay, so the first thing I wanna do is I'm gonna glue this piece down, then I'm going to attach this, and then I'll do my ribbon. And of course, I always do a dry run. And I want to, when I have something like this, even side to side, and then I give it substantially more here, well, not about 1/4 of an inch more, because I want this to be a little bit higher, not super high up, but I would like it to be a little bit higher on the card than lower. So just going to, and notice how I move the work around to make it easier. I'm always moving, and I've watched people who make things and they always move the work around. All right, so I'm putting that down. And then we're going to use the puffy dots, the dimensional dots on this. And this is where the heart is gonna go, so make sure that you get a dot right behind that, because otherwise you're not gonna have a nice result. So what I'm gonna do is I'm sort of using my fingers here, and this is right behind the 2. And then I'm just going to, these are pretty easy to peel off. And you have to get right up to the edge. You want it close to the edge, but you don't want to see it. There we go. And this will then take the pressure of adhering this piece onto our little piece here. And again, taking off the dots. It takes a while. There we go. Okay. And I want to, now on this, I do want to center it. And I'm pretty short, so a lot of times I get up and stand up and look over the piece. There we go. And it's nice and rigid here because we're going to be putting this down here, but not until we do our little flames. And our flames are this little, let's see, where is it? Right here. We're using the pale pink. We're not using this sort of blush color. We're gonna use the pale pink. And what I want to do is I'm gonna take this and I'm just laying them together, and I'm gonna thread them from the back. And sometimes you kind of have to scrunch it up a little bit. But I'm gonna thread this through here. And then you end up with a loop. And I'm just gonna thread these guys through the loop. Just like that. And then I pull it nice and tight. And you know, ribbon is kind of weird, but I really like to pull it tightly because it just makes it kind of poofier and fun. And now I'm going to attach this tray onto here, and I'm going to put the sticky dot onto the tray. I'm not gonna put it here. I'm gonna put it on here. I'm gonna burnish down. And I'm putting it kind of lower, if you can see, because there's a little bit of dimension here, and I want it to really hold on. I don't want it to move. And then I'm kind of centering everything, because remember, I've got my flames coming up. And I can really push on it because I've got the security underneath. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna create our little flames, and I say that in air quotes, and I think I want it to look sort of. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take another dot, because again, we're holding fabric, and if you try to use the paper adhesive, it just doesn't cut it. And I'm gonna peel that back. And now I'm gonna kind of lay these out, sort of spread them out a little bit, so. And it will kind of catch it, and if it doesn't, I'll use another dot. There. It's cute. Now you always trim the ribbon after you've kind of adhered it. And again, remember, I like it long, and I'm gonna do it at different heights because it's flames. And that is card number 2. Okay, the next one we're gonna make is number 3, and this one's pretty simple. We've got the background, and I love, love, love this image. And I think for the glass, I'm going to do, what am I gonna do? I think I'm gonna do the Be Mine. Or maybe the Kiss Kiss, that sounds better. That's a little more unusual. And I'm gonna find my piece of glass. And again, I'm gonna make the glass, and then I'm also going to attach a turquoise cardstock to the back of this, and I'll trim it. Okay, all right. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna create our little piece, and of course we have to do the tie first. And I'm gonna do it about 2/3 of the way down maybe. And I like it because it sort of hides her a little bit. It's pretty cute. So we're gonna put a super sticky dot right sort of dead center, probably about 1/3 of the way up from the bottom. And I'm gonna peel that off. And then I'm just going to, and we're not doing a full knot. We're just doing we're just tying it around, it's just like a half knot. And you want to pull it really tight, because remember what I said about ribbon? It looks better if it's tight. But you don't want to break things. And then I'm just going to put the tie like right. And again, I can arrange this ribbon later. Love this wild, weird lace. Okay, there's that. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna get our card. And I'm just going to, on this one, oh, I see a little bit of a thread hanging off here. Fix anything before you glue it down, because it's easier to fix when it's in your hand than when it's on the card. So, and this one is, I want even side to side, and I want just a titch more on the top. We're gonna take some more sticky dots just to adhere this down. I'm gonna push that down on there, because that just helps hold everything down more. And then I'm gonna peel the little orange piece off, just like that. And, oh, come on. There we go. And then my paper adhesive goes down. And I'm moving the piece around. This is my meditation, and I love things that are sort of figured out ahead of time. I mean, I love creative decisions, yes, but I also love it when there's a little bit of decision making and a lot of, you know, kind of just doing the work. Okay, and I center it side to side a little bit more on the top than on the bottom. I really push that down. If you're concerned about it, you can burnish it a little bit. And then I'm gonna take my glass piece and then kiss, kiss right in the center. There we go, just like that. And now I'm gonna trim my lace. And I'm gonna make this one a little bit. There we go, and that's card number 3. Okay, so now we're gonna make card number 4, and I love this image with little Cupid sort of looking out over his or her shoulder, and it's a pretty simple card. We're just gonna attach this to the top. We're gonna raise it up for a little drama and put some of the ribbon behind here. Alrighty, so I'm gonna take the first piece that goes down is this one, and I'm gonna go even side by side, and I'm gonna go here and here, and it's gonna be very close to even, just a little bit up, just a little tiny bit. I'm just gonna weight it slightly. And I'm gonna go like this. And I can get pretty crazy with my paper adhesive. So again, you wanna get it as close to the edge as you can. And if you get it so it hangs out over the edge, I thought I had, you can just fold it underneath. So I'm gonna center that card, and I'm just going up just a titch, like just the titchiest amount. All right. And now where the number 4 is, that is where we are gonna attach this ribbon. So I've got my ribbon here, and where's the last piece? Right there, okay. So we're using 3 pieces of ribbon, and what I did when I was doing it, I was sort of thinking ombre kind of. I mean, you know, you can do it however you want, it's a random thing, but what I did was I went dark, medium, light. You can do whatever you want. So I'm gonna put my sticky dot on here. Right here. And then I'm going to peel this off. And then I'm going to go with the light one first, sort of at an angle going across. And then I'm going to go sticky dot number 2. It's just kind of a little layer here. And again, this would not hold if it was just the paper adhesive. And I'm going to go with the sort of the dusty rose. I love this color. This is beautiful. Right here. And last but not least, the hot magenta. Love color. Pretty much love every color I look at. So I guess when I'm looking at it, I love it. Am I fickle? I have no idea. And then we're going like this. There we go. And now what I want to do is we're just going to put this on top here like this. And you're going to use the dimensional puffy dots. Notice how I put that right in the corner. Because again, you really want to support. Now this is a large enough piece. I'm going to throw a couple of these in the center. If it's small, you don't need anything on the center. You just need it on the sides. You know, it might be a little close, but I don't think you're going to see it. Not enough to take it off. The elevation of these puffy dots really does make a more dramatic card. The key is to make sure that it really is sticking, and because you do not want your cards to fall apart or seem fragile, I don't think, at least. A well-made card is structurally sound. You know, it looks good, it's interesting looking, but it's also really, it's a good structure. All right, so now what I'm gonna do, and again, my heart just goes a little bit higher, and I'm just gonna center it side to side, and down it goes, just like that. And I'm really pushing down on it, and then I'm gonna put my little true love right here. It's very cute how that turned out. And then you could do something. Actually, I'm going to try this. I'm going to make this. Now I'm going to do it just like it is in the, well, maybe I'll put it here. Here we go. You don't have to do it the way I did it. You can do it however you choose. And now, again, I'm just going to trim. I don't like the way that one looks. There we go. It's all about the details, you know? This one will lay flat eventually. Oh, super cute. Look at that. And that is card number 4. And I don't like to glue stuff down. I want stuff to move when it can move. Okay, last but not least is card number 5. So what we're gonna do is we're putting magenta on the back of these guys, turquoise on the back of this one, and I am going to do the fabulous forget-me-nots right here. Okay, so this is our last card. And again, it's elevated here and lower here. We've got our little ribbon, and it's very easy to put together. So let's get started with that. And the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna attach this back piece. Well, Here I talk about how great this adhesive is, but really this adhesive is fabulous. And I know people have the really big guns of adhesive. I think they're really hard to use, and I'm pretty good with my hands, and I think your work reflects it. I think the smaller adhesive, I think you pay it maybe a little bit more, it's sort of a premium, but I think you get better results. That's at least what I've experienced. Okay, so this is gonna go down just like this. And again, centered. This one I'm gonna center all the way around. There we go. And then this time all we're doing is we're just threading. It's super simple. I got a little bit of that adhesive on my thumb. I'm just gonna thread it through. And sometimes I just make a little point on the ribbon just to make it easier. And then I'm just going to go, this is gonna go like this and then hang down here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my dot right here. And I want to catch both sides with the dot, but I want this to be, when it hangs, I want it to hang down a little bit over the edge. Yeah, that's how we're doing it. So I'm gonna catch that, and I'm just gonna burnish that down so it gets both pieces, just like that. And I'm gonna actually pull this up because I want this to be a little bit like that, actually. Yeah, perfect. Now you can leave this so it dangles, but I'm gonna put a little dot on the back because I just want it to really stay in place. And I think when you mail it, it might mess with the ribbon a little bit, so I would probably attach that down. Okay. Now you could hang it this way. I'm gonna hang it this way because I like what it's doing with the bottom down here. Okay, so now we've got our lovely little, little cherubs. And again, it doesn't really matter, but I like things to sort of face in. So this little cherub's looking this way, this little cherub's looking this way. So I'm gonna put this one on the top and this one on the bottom, right? And on this one, we're just using one sticky dot on the bottom because it really holds, I kid you not. If you burnish it down, it will hold. And then on the top, I'm gonna use maybe 2 puffy dots. 2 puffies, 1 sticky. Okay, and this one's gonna go down first, but of course I always do my dry run. And I don't want it to, I don't want it to be like match with that. I want it to be down just a little bit. And then this little guy is gonna overlap this, just like that. So I think I might bring it up just a little bit more, right, like that. So I'm gonna pay attention to this one, right? So I'm looking at that, and I'm looking here to see. Okay, and I'm just gonna put my little guy down here, right here, just like that. And I'm really pushing that down and then peeling off. What fun. Okay, and then they stick to your hands, the little liners, and then you gotta figure out what to do with them. I probably walk around with these things covering me. And then this little guy is just gonna go, and I want to match up this distance here and here. Look at that, how cute that is. Oh, I love that. And just enough dimension to be interesting, right? And I'm gonna cut that. You know, you can always cut it shorter, right? And there is card number 5. Okay, I'm gonna show you how to make one of the little dots. So you're gonna need a little piece of the glass, and I'm just gonna pick out a blue one that says handmade on it. And it's just the tiniest little dab of Fantastic Glaze and Glow. But you do want to make sure it oozes out the sides, and it really amplifies the words handmade. And I'm going to clean up around the edge. Just like that. And then I'm going to just trim around. Love, love, love the super sticky dots. I can't speak highly enough of that adhesive. Okay, and I think I'm gonna put it on this one here. And what I do, because it's tiny, it's smaller than the super sticky, right? So I am going to, and you can see I actually already have one here. I'm just gonna take a quarter of a dot and put it on the back. This is the smallest size. This is a 12 millimeter. This is our tiny size. And I was gonna try to go down one size more, but you can't even hold it in your hands, so it's not worth it. Okay, and I'm just gonna put that right here, just like that. And see, that tells your friends and family that it's handmade. I hope you have a fantastically creative day, and I hope you enjoyed our little tutorial and instruction on making Cupid's love cards.